Cheesy the Podcast, presented by Just Cheesy Productions.
Hi there, I'm your host, Fondue.
I'm Cheesy.
In this week's episode, we're talking about something near and dear to my heart. It is Fun with Fondue Month.
You have your own month.
We're going to be talking about fondue history, cookware, etiquette, and safety. We're even going to learn about some record-breaking fondue sets.
Really?
And we're going to talk about a cheese-shaped AirBnB in Wisconsin.
Holy cow.
And of course, no episode would be complete without our cheesy joke.
Yeah, joke.
Stay tuned for episode 103, Fun with Fondue, on Just Cheesy, the podcast. According to nationaltoday.com, November is National Fun with Fondue Month. On the website, they provide a timeline of fondue. And in one of the quotes here, it says that in 1699, the earliest known recipe for cheese fondue appeared in a cookbook in Zurich under the name, I'm so sorry, Kass mit Wein zu kochen, to cook cheese with wine. And it calls for grated or cut up cheese to be melted with wine and bread to be used for dipping.
Yum.
On the website wisconsincheese.com, they talk about an even older history.
Really?
They say that fondue can be traced back centuries earlier to almost 800 BC,
Holy cow.
which is in the time of Homer's Iliad.
Whoa.
And they say that literature from that era describes a mixture of goat's or sheep's milk cheese with wine and flour,
Wow.
which they say is shockingly similar to today's fondue.
Yep.
There's seemingly no real way to pinpoint fondue's origin.
Oh.
In the 1800s, in French and Swiss regions of the Alps, fondue was born out of necessity.
Oh.
They used aged cheeses and bread during the winter months when fresh food was not very available.
Gee darn.
They say here that shockingly, fondue remained a local tradition until around the 1930s.
Whoa.
When the Swiss Cheese Union ran a successful campaign to name fondue as the national dish of Switzerland.
Nice.
Of course, the dish became popular.
Yeah.
Subsequently, the German and Swiss immigrants brought this fondue tradition with them to places like Wisconsin. The website provides a really fun fact that the word fondue originates from the French word to melt.
So fun.
Fondue has a very basic recipe. You have a mix of cheese, flour, and a wine. According to alpenwild.com, there is no standard recipe or even a standard cheese for fondue.
Whoa.
In one part of Switzerland, they blend Gruyere and Vacherin, and they call it half and half. But if you're in eastern Switzerland, Gruyere mixed with Appenzeller.
Okay.
Valais has Gruyere and Raclette, while Bern has Emmentaler. They even say that there are other add-ins that you can find.
Really?
A lot of times there's wine and garlic.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's herbs, paprika, cayenne, nutmeg, mustard, and sometimes tomato coulis.
Yummy.
And they dip things in it like potatoes, cornichons, pickled onions.
Yum.
Seems like there's no real rule to what can be dipped in fondue.
Nice.
Last year, we talked a little bit about fondue and some of the things that you can dip in it and some of the things like hot pot or chocolate or cheese. We're going to expand a little bit on the cookware. The traditional cooking vessel for fondue is called a caculon.
Sure it is.
And I'm sorry it's French, I may be messing that up.
Yep.
It's a French word that's derived from the East French dialect word cacle, which is German, meaning earthenware casserole.
Oh.
The caculon is very similar to a portable stove, and it says that this vessel is placed over a spirit burner at the table. A spirit burner could use a candle or alcohol or sterno.
Oh.
According to the WashingtonPost.com, there are 4 types of fondue pots. The first 3 are typically sold in sets. We have glazed ceramic, stainless steel, and enameled metal.
Right.
Some of the burners may be filled with sterno or an ethanol-based gel fuel paste.
Okay.
The 4th type of fondue pot is electric, and it has an adjustable temperature control. Most of them come with 6 or more skewers, and they can range in price from $20 to over $1,000.
Whoa.
They say that glazed ceramic fondue pot is best for cheese fondue. It's shallow and it conveys heat evenly.
Okay.
The stainless steel pots are good for the hot oil or Mongolian hot pot. The metal transfers heat quickly, but it is not conveyed evenly.
Oh.
Metal pots of cast iron, hard anodized aluminum, and electric fondue pots can usually be used for a wide range of fondue applications.
Nice.
Fondue pot manufacturers are not a sponsor.
Nope.
But if they were, the ad would go right here. According to bestfondue.com, there are some rules for fondue etiquette. Don't double dip.
Yeah.
I feel very passionately about this one.
Me too.
Says here, if it has touched your lips, it can't be returned to the pot.
Don't double dip.
This also includes the forks.
Yeah.
You use the long fondue fork to put the meat or vegetables in the cheese. You then put that on your plate and use your other fork.
Yeah.
FondueForYou.com has a few other tips.
Ooh.
Don't dip your food into the pot with your fingers.
Oh, yeah.
1, germs.
Yeah.
2, you don't want to burn yourself.
Ouch.
If you invite 6 people to your fondue party, make sure you have enough plates
Yeah.
and forks for 6 people.
Yeah.
6 people is the specific amount that they say on this website is good for things like hot pot.
Oh.
Because if you have too much food in the oil temperature will drop.
Oh.
There are also traditions. If a woman loses a dipper, she must kiss the first man to her left.
What?
If a man loses his dipper in the pot, he must buy or refill the next round of drinks.
Oh, my.
We have some fun rules. We have a little bit of etiquette, but let's talk about safety.
Yeah.
With an electric fondue pot, make sure you either tape down the cord or make sure everybody knows it's there so we don't trip over it and spill the fondue pot.
Yeah.
It's recommended to keep a fire extinguisher, a snuffer lid, or a box of baking soda handy in case of a flare-up.
Ooh.
Put the fondue pot on a heat-proof trivet and make sure it's on a table or something level.
Yeah.
If you're using alcohol or some sort of fuel, make sure you've wiped it up if you've spilled any.
Yeah.
Fondue accidents are no joke.
No joke.
According to saltwire.com, a man's whole apartment burnt down because of some fondue.
Holy cow.
A couple was eating meat fondue and a few tablespoons of oil from the burner fell on the woman's leg and on the edge of a mattress.
Mattress.
They put out the flame on the woman's leg, but the mattress was on fire. It turned bright red,
Oh, no.
and within a few seconds, the flames burst through the top.
Holy cow.
Then it completely engulfed the mattress and spread through the entire apartment.
Aw.
Worse yet, a woman in Rio de Janeiro suffered third-degree burns on about 10% of her body
Oh.
because of a fondue accident.
Oh, no.
BestFondue.com actually has a pretty good section on how to light your fondue burner. If you have an alcohol or gel burner, never fill the alcohol burner while it is still hot.
Never.
And never overfill it.
Never.
The young woman in Rio was eating fondue. Her boyfriend lit the gel alcohol, but unfortunately it looked like the fire was lowering, and so he was putting more alcohol on it.
Oh,
He
no.
did that a few times until an explosion happened.
Oh, no.
Fire engulfed the young woman. She spent 40 days in the ICU.
Oh, no.
She needed 21 surgeries and 150 stitches.
Holy cow.
So please be very careful with your fondue pot.
Yeah.
According to GuinnessWorldRecords.com, Switzerland has the largest fondue set.
Whoa.
It measures 8 feet 6 inches in diameter
Whoa.
and it's 5 foot 3 inches deep.
Jeez.
It has 2 forks that are 8 foot 6 inches long.
Oh.
And a runner-up is at FondueVilla.com. They have a giant fondue pot. It's officially named the Colossal Calculon in Switzerland.
Wow.
It's big enough for a small child to fit inside,
Holy cow.
and it's considered Fondue Villa's cheesy mascot.
Ooh.
It's time for my favorite segment.
This week in cheese.
According to JSOnline.com, a woman in Wisconsin created a cheese wedge cabin Airbnb.
Aw.
It's a 14 by 14 A-frame cabin.
Whoa.
The woman won an Airbnb-sponsored contest last year, which brought the idea to life.
Wow.
She used the funds to create this cabin. She works and operates a working sheep farm.
Ooh.
And while it's not a dairy farm, the sheep are able to interact with the guests.
Ooh.
They have apples on hand, and if you hold an apple, they say some of the flock will come over and eat an apple from your hand.
I'm ready for a joke, Fondue.
Okay, what did Swiss cheese say to the cheese grater?
I don't know.
I've got my eyes on you.
So silly.
Yep,
So silly.
I thought it was silly too,
Yeah.
but it was definitely a little bit cheesy. Thanks for listening to Just Cheesy the Podcast, episode 103, Fun with Fondue.
Thank you.
You can go back to last season's episodes 23, 24, and 25,
Yeah.
where we talk all about fondue.
Stay cheesy, everybody.